Hey everyone, Sean Watasa here back with another video, and in today's video we're going to be deploying our very own rollup using Conduit. And on top of that, once our rollup is deployed, we're going to actually start building our very own Web3 applications on it by deploying our own smart contracts like ERC20, ERC721, and ERC1155 contracts, along with your own custom contracts, and how you can start building your very own Web3 applications using thirdweb. So an overview of what we're going to cover in this video, we're first going to take a look at Conduit and how we can deploy our very own rollup in just a few simple steps. We'll then deploy our very own ERC20, ERC721, ERC1155, and our very own custom smart contract. Finally, we'll build a Web3 application that interacts with those contracts that we deployed to show you how easy and quick it is to start building on these rollup chains that you create with thirdweb. With all that being said, let's jump on the computer here and let's get started. So right here, we're first going to start off on Conduit. You can see here that you can deploy your very own rollup in minutes, and we're going to be able to do this, and we're going to go step by step on how to do this and some of the features and tools that you get when you deploy your very own rollup through Conduit. So you can go through it. You can see you just got to create an account. You can customize your stack on how you want your rollup to work, and then you can just deploy it in one click. So you can deploy your production ready stacks from Optimism or Arbitrum. And you can read a little bit more about some of the features that you get with Conduit as well. So we're just going to scroll up here to the top. We're going to hit deploy. You're going to sign in with your account. I'm already signed in right here. And you can see here we can deploy a rollup. Now, you're going to select your organization, or you can randomly generate the name. You can see here your rollup and chain ID cannot be changed later. So whatever you land on, that is going to be what your rollup chain is going to be called. And once you have your rollup name, you'll have your chain ID right here on the right. This is going to be your chain ID used to reference your network once deployed. Below that, you have build your stack. So here you can choose from different options to how you want to configure your rollup. Now for frameworks, you can see here, you can choose which rollup technology you want to use. You have OP Stack or Optimism, and you have Arbitrum Orbit here. So if you click on this little information, you can see what is it. You can read the differences and what it's suited for. You can do the same thing here for Arbitrum's one as well. On this tutorial and example, I'm going to choose OP Stack. You can choose your settlement layer. This is where your rollup transactions are going to be verified. So you can choose Ethereum mainnet if you wanted to do that. Or you can choose other layers like Base, Zora, or Mode. I'm going to choose Base here for mine. Now you can see data availability. This is going to be where your rollup transaction data will be posted. If you do choose Ethereum, you do get, of course, the option to view that on Ethereum. But if you do choose something like Base or Zora or Mode, you're only going to have Celestia here for your data availability. So I'm going to select Base here, and my only option for data availability is going to be Celestia. So I'm going to select that. And then finally at the bottom here, you're going to see choose an environment. Now, Conduit, you do need to pay in order to keep and maintain your testnet here. You can see a testnet costs $50 a month to maintain. If you want to roll that on over to a mainnet, you're looking at $3,000 a month here. So you can select which environment you're looking to create your rollup or deploy your rollup on. In this tutorial, we're going to use a testnet here. And you can see here, this is a summary of what we are going to be deploying here. We're deploying our own testnet L3 on Base Sepolia testnet. It's going to be built on the OP stack and be using Celestia for our data availability. And you can see here, we'll get everything from a blockchain explorer to a tracer and bridge to see all the other features and everything that is included here. You can see the deployment cost is going to be free. This is going to be normal for your testnet. And then the plan cost is whichever plan you have chosen, that's going to be your monthly fee. You can see here, time to deploy is about 15 minutes. So once we have everything set, we're going to hit continue. You're going to have to add your own billing detail here for the card that you want to charge this monthly. So I'm going to fill this out. Once that is done, we're going to come on back. And there you go. You can see everything has gone through. It's preparing for deployment right now. And our testnet L3 rollup is now being deployed by Conduit. So again, this said it will take about 15 minutes. So we're going to stop the video here. We'll come on back once the testnet is deployed, and then we'll look at some of the features and tools that you get with Conduit. All right, we are back. You can see here that our rollup has been deployed. I have my Jolly Coral Chicken chain here, and then you can see here it's Optimism stack. It's on Base Sepolia using Celestia. Right below that, you can see here we have information like our RPC, a link to our block explorer. So we click on that. You can see here we have a block explorer using Block Scout, and this will show our latest transactions on our new rollup chain. You can see here we don't have anything because we haven't done anything yet on this chain. Right over here, you can see on the right, we have network information. If we drop that down, we have all the information like our slug, our chain ID, the framework settlement layer, and data availability layer. You can see here our environment is a testnet. Our settlement layer is using base Sepolia. And you can see all the other information here from like withdrawal period, gas block limit, contract addresses, and that will be all of, again, our network information. Below that, you can see here, you can upgrade to mainnet. Below that, you have bridge. So we can create a bridge to bridge over some funds and everything to our new rollup. So we can actually hit here, create bridge. And we can just hit agree and continue. And you can see here, we can now use a super bridge here and deposit some base Sepolia to our new network. So I'm going to actually come back here, and what we're going to do is I'm going to drop this down here for our network information, and let's add our network information or our new network to our wallet. And all we're going to do here is hit add to wallet. We're first going to connect our wallet. I'll select MetaMask here. I'm going to choose my wallet I want to connect, and there we go. We just got to switch to mainnet here. And we'll hit add to wallet one more time, and we're going to add that network here. So you can see here, it's going to fill out everything for my network. I have my network name, my network URL, which is grabbing this RPC right over here. My chain ID, which is 56450. Currency is going to be ETH. Again, we're using base Sepolia as our native token here. So that's going to be an ETH. And I'm just going to approve to add this here. And then we'll switch on over to our new network. And there we go. We have added our new rollup network to our wallet. So when we get into deploying our own contracts and everything, we'll be able to deploy it to our Jolly Coro Chicken chain here. So now that I have that added, let's actually go to our bridge and get some funds sent on over to our chain so that we can deploy some contracts. So coming back over to that super bridge one, I'm going to connect my wallet, connect MetaMask here. So we are connected there. Now I am going to deposit some funds from my base Sepolia here to my L3. You can see here the base Sepolia, I have 1.23 here. I'm just going to transfer over 0.25 base Sepolia ETH to my L3. We just need to switch over to base Sepolia here. There we go. We're going to hit deposit. You can see here that we're going to be sending 0.25 Sepolia ETH, and I'm going to confirm that transaction. And we can see here that our base Sepolia is depositing to our new L3 rollup here. Now this will take some time, so we're going to go check out a little bit more of what Conduit has to offer with our new testnet chain and come back to this in a bit. So coming back to Conduit here, we can see up here in our tabs we have metrics. So over here we can look at some of our chain metrics from daily requests to median response times, errors, and you can see all the data and information and stats of the chain that you have deployed. On top of that, you have settings. This is going to be things like privacy, so you can set your chain to public or published, which you will get a URL for anyone can view your network and use its utilities, or you can keep it on private where only people within your Conduit organization can actually view the network here. You can pause deployment. You can see deletion protection. By activating deletion protection, it means non-admins will no longer be able to delete this deployment. And then you can terminate, and you can just delete this whole deployment if you want by terminating your deployment here. So a few other things that you can toggle on and off for settings. Again, your metrics, and then you have your main overview page here, where you can get some of your network information. Again, we're going to be coming back to this when we start to deploy our smart contracts to our network. So let's jump back over to our bridge here. Looks like our funds may have gone through. Let's see. So it is confirmed. Let's check our MetaMask wallet here. And if we switch on over to our network here, which is right over here, you can see we now have our 0.25 ETH. So we can now utilize this wallet and deploy some smart contracts to our chain. And that's what we're going to do right now. So again, we went through Conduit, we went through everything, we deployed our very own L3 rollup here, and now we have it up and running. So let's actually start utilizing this new chain that we deployed and deploy some smart contracts. We're going to deploy ERC20, ERC721, ERC1155, and as well as some custom smart contract. We'll make a really simple smart contract that we can deploy, and then we'll build a front-end application to start interacting with it. So let's head on over. I'm going to open up my terminal here. And in my terminal, we're going to create or deploy a new smart contract. So I'm going to run npx thirdweb. And I'm going to do create contract here. And we're going to deploy ourselves first ERC20 or token contract here. And I'm just going to say L3 ERC20. And we're going to use hard hat. And my contract is just going to be ERC20. And we're going to use a ERC20 base contract here. So we're going to do base contract, and I'm going to do a drop contract just to make this a claimable token that we can, test claim in our app when we build it. So I'm going to do drop here, and this is going to create our contract for us. Once that's done, we'll change into our L3 ERC20 here. Open this up in our code editor. And in our code editor here, we'll head to our contracts folder, and you can see our ERC20.so here. And from here, you can customize your contracts if you want to. I'm not going to customize anything. We are going to, we'll just say, call this token contract. And this is going to be a ERC20 drop contract here. You can see we're importing our ERC20 drop contract from thirdweb. And again, you can use this. You can customize your contract here. But we're going to just keep everything as the default here, and we're going to deploy this. So I'm going to open up my terminal in my code editor here, and I'm going to run npx thirdweb deploy to deploy our contract. So what this is going to do is compile our contract here, and it should open up a browser window for us in just a few seconds. There we go. You can see here our browser window has opened. We'll let the contract information load here. And we just need to fill out some of the contract parameters, like the name of our contract here. I'm going to name this our L3 token example. Our symbol will be our L3 token. And then our primary sales recipient, I'll just take my wallet address here and set that as the primary sales recipient. And then the network or chain that we want to deploy on is going to be our new L3 rollup that we just deployed. So I'm going to come down to this drop down here where it says select network. Now we're not going to have our network in here right now because we haven't added it. So down at the bottom, you'll see an add custom network. We'll click on that. We need to add our network name, network ID, chain ID, currency symbol. You can see here, we're going to check that off as a test net, and then we have to put in an RPC URL. So we're going to get this information here back in our Conduit dashboard. So we'll come here, we have our network name, which is going to be Jolly Coral Chicken. We'll put that in here. You can see, I think we got a space up there. Network ID, you can see here, is going to be used to identify the network in the URL. And then we need to provide it our chain ID. So we'll come back here, get our chain ID. Let's view more here. We got our chain ID right over here. Our currency symbol, this is actually going to be an ETH because again, we're using base, we're using ETH Sepolia on the base network. This is going to be a test net. You can upload your own custom icon if you want. And then finally, we need our RPC URL. So coming over here, you can see our RPC here. Copy that. Come back in here and paste that in, and then we'll add our network. And there you go. Our Jolly Coral Chicken network has been added, and we can now deploy our token contract to this network. So we're going to hit deploy now. We'll get a transaction here that appears. We're just going to confirm it. We're going to sign the signature request to add this to our contract dashboard. And once it's been deployed, you can see here, we're brought to our contract dashboard. We have our L3 token example here. It's deployed on the Jolly Coral Chicken network. And we can now utilize this contract like we would any other contract that we deployed to thirdweb. We can look at our tokens. We can set our claim conditions here. So let's just add a very simple claim condition. We'll make it a public claim condition so anyone can claim it. We'll say there's an unlimited amount of tokens and it's free to claim. You just have to pay the gas for it. We'll hit save here. We'll have to confirm the transaction. So we'll wait for that to appear. We'll confirm that. And there you go. We now have a claim condition that's set for our token. So again, we deployed our own contract. We set some claim conditions and everything here for our tokens. So if we go back to our block explorer, right, we have our Jolly Coral Chicken block explorer here. Let's refresh this here really quick. And you can see now that we have some transactions here posted on our chain. So let's just search for transactions that we did with our wallet right here. You can see here that we had a couple transactions that we just did. We deployed our contract here, so you can see our contract creation. And then we set the claim conditions on our token here, which was a contract call. And right there, we had set that. So you can see our 2 transactions here done with our wallet on our chain. So now that we have deployed our very own smart contract, let's deploy a few more smart contracts. We deployed an ERC20, let's deploy an ERC721 and an ERC1155 to our new network, and then we'll create our very own custom contract. That way we can build a quick application and interact with those different contracts there. So I'm gonna come back to my terminal again. This time we're going to run npx thirdweb create contract. And we're going to create another one. We're going to say L3 ERC721. We're going to use hard hat again, and then we'll just name this our NFT contract. And we're going to use an ERC721, and we'll make this a drop contract as well. There we go. We'll change into our L3 ERC721 here. Open that up in our code editor. And then again, in our contracts folder, you'll see our NFT contract here. It is just going to be a base ERC721 drop from thirdweb here, and then we can just deploy this by running npx thirdweb deploy. Again, this will open up compile it, open up a browser window where we can deploy this contract, and we can select our own custom network that we just created. So right over here, we got our window that pops up. Let us wait here. It should have some contract parameters show up. Let's refresh this page real quick. There we go. So in here, we're going to put in our recipient address. We can set royalties if you want. This is going to be our name. This is going to be our L3 NFT contract. We have our symbol. We'll just call this L3 NFT. And then our primary sales recipient, we'll make it our wallet address again. For our network and chain, we're going to select our custom chain here, which was our Jolly Coral Chicken. And then I'm going to hit deploy now. Again, we can confirm that transaction to deploy it. Then we'll come down here, sign to add this to our contract dashboard. There we go. We now have an ERC721 NFT contract deployed to our new L3 rollup. Now I can come to the NFTs tab here. I can do a batch upload, and I can upload some NFTs here. So I have some NFT metadata here. I'm going to just drag that in. You can see here, this is our image, our name, description, and properties of our NFTs. I'm gonna hit next, and I'll hit reveal upon mint and upload our 18 NFTs here. We'll get a transaction that comes up here that we just need to confirm. And this will again lazy mint our NFTs to our contract, and then we can set a claim condition, and we can, charge a certain amount if we want to, or we can just let them claim for free, which is what we're going to do here, just so we can claim these for free in our application when we build it out. So when that's done, we'll come to our claim conditions, and we can hit add claim condition. Again, we'll make it public. How many NFTs are in this? We have 18 in this drop. We'll just say unlimited per wallet so we can test this out, and we're not going to charge anything for it. So we'll just save that phase, confirm this transaction here. There you go. We now have a claim condition for our NFTs. So we've deployed an ERC20 and ERC721. You can also deploy ERC1155 contracts as well. What we're going to do next, though, is just create our own very simple custom contract from scratch and deploy that to our L3 rollup here. So I'm going to come to my terminal here. We're going to just clear this out, and we'll run npx thirdweb create contract again. We'll make our own L3 custom contract, and then we'll use hard hat for this. We'll name this custom contract. We're gonna use empty here. We're not gonna. We're just gonna start from complete scratch. So we'll hit empty contract. There we go. We'll switch to our L3 custom contract here. Open that up in our code editor, and we can now create our own contract. So we'll come to our contracts folder, we'll come to our contract solidity file, and from here we can create our own contract. So let's just say we want to create a string that's going to be public, and we'll call this my string that says hello world. We can set a constructor here. Maybe we want to say the address public owner, and in our constructor here, we'll set owner to the deployer of the contract, so the MSG, the message sender. And then we'll create a function here that says set my string. You can put in a string and it will then set the string here, this my string variable, to whatever we set it to. And then maybe we create one more function here called get my string, which will return our string. And then whatever we have as our string variable here, we'll be able to return. Very simple smart contract here, but we can again see how we can now interact with our contracts when we build out our application. So we will deploy this. Right here, we'll have my contract. There is no contract parameters for this. The constructor is just going to take our deploying wallet address and set it as the owner variable. Again, we're going to make sure our network and chain is set to our L3 rollup here, and we're going to hit deploy now. I'm going to confirm this transaction. Then we will scroll down, sign this to add it to our dashboard. Once that's deployed, it'll be brought to our contract dashboard for our custom contract here. And you can see here, if we come to the left-hand navigation and go to our Explorer tab here, we can read some of our functions here. So if we hit get my string and run it, it returns our string that says hello world. If we run the owner here, it returns our wallet address here, which is the wallet address we use to deploy it. I can run the function called set my string and just say this is a new string. We'll execute that function here. You see the transaction here comes up where we have to pay for the gas to execute that transaction. Once that transaction is executed, we should be able to read this is a new string as the new string for this contract. And again, this is all happening on our Jolly Coral Chicken L3 rollup that we deployed. So right over here, there is our output. We get my string. You can see this is a new string here. So again, you can easily start to deploy your very own smart contracts from our pre-built ERC20, ERC721 contracts. Even create your own contracts and start deploying it easily using thirdweb. Now that we have a few contracts, let's actually build out an application that utilizes these contracts. So coming back to my terminal here, let's create a new project. So I'm going to write npx thirdweb create app. We're going to call this our L3 custom app, and we're going to use Next.js and TypeScript for this tutorial. All right, and then we'll just change into our L3 custom app. Open this up in our code editor. And now we can start building out our application. So what we need to do first is set up our thirdweb app here to make sure that it can interact and communicate with our new L3 rollup chain. So in the pages folder here, I'm going to go to the underscore app.tsx file. So in our underscore app.tsx file, this is where we're going to set up our thirdweb provider, which is what wraps our whole application and allows us to use thirdweb's SDK to interact with our smart contracts. So in our thirdweb provider here, we have our client ID, which we're going to set up in a little bit after this. But below that, we have our active chain. And by default, the active chain is set to this variable right up here, which is set to Ethereum. We're not going to be using Ethereum though. So what we're going to do is just delete this here. We're going to delete our active chain variable within that. And what we'll have to do here is add our own custom chain. So we're going to add our custom chain here. And we're going to add our chain, which is going to be called Jolly Coral Chicken, and it's going to be of type chain, and we are then going to import chain from thirdweb-dev/chain. Now, if we don't have this here, we're going to have to import this. So we're just going to put yarn add thirdweb/dev or -dev/chains here. So make sure it's -chains. And then what we're going to do here is we need to create our chain here. So first thing we need to do is provide the chain ID. And the chain ID we're going to get from our dashboard here. So we come back to our Conduit dashboard, copy our chain ID, paste that in. The next thing we're going to need is the name of our network. That is going to be the Jolly Coral Chicken. Then we have our RPC. This is going to be an array of the RPCs that we have. So over here we have, let's come back here. Let us copy our RPC here. We'll provide it with that. We'll also have to provide it with a short name, which we'll just say JCC for Jolly Coral Chicken. We have our chain, which is going to be the name of our chain here, which is going to be Jolly Coral Chicken. Then we have our slug. For slug, we can come back over here. You can see our slug here for our network information. So we'll just provide it here. Then we're going to set testnet to true because this is a testnet. We're going to set our native currency. Our native currency, the name is going to be ETH or Ether because again we are using ETH Sepolia for this. Our symbol is going to be ETH, and we'll set the decimals to 18. And last, we have our explorers, which we do have an explorer that we can provide. So we're going to provide this with an array of links to our explorer here. And then for our explorer, our name is going to be Block Scout because that is what we're using here. So we'll say Block Scout. Standard is going to be EIP 3091. And then the URL for our Block Scout here, or our explorer, if we come back here, we'll just copy that and provide that right over here. There you go. We now have our Jolly Coral Chicken chain set, and then we can set now that to our active chain here and save that. So now, again, when we run our application here, this is going to be the active chain that our app will start to interact with. So we can open up our terminal here and we'll run yarn dev. And once we have our app running here, you can see this is just the boilerplate code that you get when you create an app through thirdweb. But we can connect our wallet here, and let's just connect our MetaMask wallet. And right over here, you can see that we have connected. This is a different account. Let's switch our account here. Let's switch to that account that we have. And you can see here we have our 0.238 ETH or Sepolia ETH on our network. You can see here we're connected to the Jolly Coral Chicken network here. And now we can start building out our application. So let's come over back to our code editor here. Let's head on over to the index.tsx file in our pages folder. This is again the boilerplate code that we're just looking at. Let's delete everything within this div tag that has these styles of container here. So all of this we're just going to grab right over here and delete. Let's add back in our connect wallet button. We'll get rid of some of the imports we no longer need. And then let's now get our contracts that we can start interacting with. So let's create our first contract here. This is going to be our token contract. And again, we can just use the use contract hook here from thirdweb, provided with our contract address, and we'll be able to get an instance of that token contract. We can do the same thing here for our NFT contract, and we can do the same thing here for our custom contract. And let's grab those contract addresses here really quick. So we'll come back here. We have our token contract, so we can copy that. Paste that in here. We have our NFT contract, copy that. Paste that in here. We also have our custom smart contract, which we will copy that and paste that in right over here. So again, now we can start looking at the information of these contracts here. So next we can start interacting with this. So maybe we want to check the token balance of the token contract, right? So how much of this token does my wallet have? I can get my wallet address here by using the use address hook from thirdweb. That returns my wallet address. I can then use the use token balance to check the balance of from my token contract on the address of the connected wallet. This is going to return me back data that we can then call a token balance. And then we can say here, if there is an address, then we can display this information. And what we're going to display is we'll create a div here. And the first thing we'll do is create some p tags. And then we'll say token balance. And that's going to equal our token balance. And then we can get the display value from that. So we'll save that. If we come back to our app here, you can see token balance is 0 because we haven't claimed any of these ERC20 tokens that we deployed. So next, let's create a button that we can claim and interact with that contract. So right over here, I will come back here and let's add a thirdweb UI component called the Web3 button. And I can just say, call this claim tokens. On our Web3 button, we can interact with our contracts very easily by just providing it with the contract address. I'll just copy this contract address here for our token. Then we can specify the action that our that this button is going to take on our contract. So we can say this contract here is an ERC20, and we're going to call the claim function. And all we need to do is provide it with the amount that we want to claim. So let's just say we want to claim 25 of these tokens. We'll save that, come back to our app. We now have a button that allows us to claim these tokens. So if I hit this button here, it should bring up a transaction for us to pay for the gas to execute this transaction here, which we get right over here. We'll then hit confirm. Again, this is going to execute the claim function on the ERC20 contract, and we should see our balance increase to 25 because, again, we created this button here really quick and easy using thirdweb's Web3 button, and we said that it'll claim 25 tokens right over there. So again, I can click it again. We'll be able to claim 25 more tokens. We'll just have to pay for the gas of this here. There you go. We now have our tokens here. Again, we can do that the same for our NFT contract, but we can also interact with custom contracts here as well. So we can get some information from our custom contract by using the use contract read hook here from thirdweb. And we just say that, we want to read something from our custom contract. We are going to read a function. Let's see what function here we can read. Let's come back to our contract. And we want to read the getMyString function. So let's copy that function name here. And we'll paste that in. It doesn't take any arguments or anything. It's just going to return us back our string. So we can just say data, and then it'll say my string. Then right here, we can say P, and we can just put in here my string. And we'll save that, come back to our app. And right over here, you can see it is reading that data from our custom smart contract, which is saying this is a new string. And again, we can interact with this custom smart contract as well. We can just create ourselves an input here. We'll set the input to text. Let's just create a really quick variable here called new string. And we'll say this is going to set new string. And we're going to use state here. And by default, we're just going to leave it as a blank string here. But then we can, in our input, set our value to new string and say on change, we will use our set new string state here to set the new string to whatever we have in there. And then finally, we can have a Web3 button that interacts with this. So we'll say set new string. This is going to set use our contract address, which is our custom contract address. And the action here is going to call the set new string function from our contract. Say contract here. So we'll say contract.call, which means we can call any function that we want. We just need to provide it with the name of our function. So if we come back here to our contract, if we go right, you can see here, set my string. So it's set my string is the function name. We look here, it does take an argument. We have to provide it with the string that we are setting the new string as. So we come in here, we go give it an array of the arguments, and all we're going to do is provide it with the new string, and that is going to allow us to set that new string. So we come back to our app. Right over here, we can just say hello world again. And if we set this new string here, again, we get a transaction here to execute that function. We hit confirm. There you go. You can see the string is now set to hello world. Again, we're being able to interact and set that new string by executing this write function here on our contract. And we're getting the data right there from our custom contract by using our read function and reading the data from it. So there you have it. We deployed our very own L3 rollup using Conduit. You can see in just a few simple steps how easy it is to set up and how easy it is to deploy. Then using thirdweb's SDK and thirdweb's tools, you're able to easily take that new L3 rollup that you deployed, deploy some smart contracts to it like ERC20, ERC721, ERC1155, or even create your own smart contract to deploy to your chain. And then you can use thirdweb's SDK to easily and quickly build Web3 applications to utilize those smart contracts. So again, I hope you folks enjoyed this video. If you did, give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on tutorial videos just like this. If you need any help or support on anything that we went over in this video, we'll drop a link down in the description below where you can open a support ticket, and our support team will be happy to help you out and answer any of your questions. But again, I hope you folks enjoyed this video, you found some value in it, and until next time, see ya.